A read now from former Obama economic advisor Austan Goolsbee. Austan, always good to have you. I'm wondering, your old boss, Barack Obama, Bush before him, Clinton before him. There's a long history of American presidents, Democrat, Republican alike, trying to rein in the Chinese, trying to stop them from rigging their markets, cheating, whatever you want to call it. This approach is very, very different. Others say extremely risky. What do you think about it?
Well, I agree it's extremely risky. I think you see the impulse control problems that the president has. Everyone can see them. I think at the tail end of the Obama administration, they started a bilateral negotiation with the Chinese trying to reduce the subsidies to state-owned enterprises, trying to reduce the amount of stealing of intellectual property. They probably got about 80 to 90% of the way done on that, and to handed that to the Trump administration, which the Trump people just blew up. I think they've made 3 egregiously bad negotiating mistakes along the way here, and now the market is going to be the one who bears the brunt of the problems. You know, the one thing, and you've dealt with the Chinese certainly a lot more than I have, but when I was covering them in my young reporter days and up to the economic juggernaut they are today, I never believed the off-the-charts figures they shared with the world on growth in one quarter that would be 13 or 14%, or right.
The outlandish stuff you get out of them. So even cynically, I'd say that's impossible. So I talked to economists and the like who would say, well, they do exaggerate, or you can't trust everything, but they are an economic power. They are amassing more influence, status, and what have you, to the point they are today. So I buy that. I understand that. But shouldn't that remind us of going into any discussions, trade talks with them at all, that they can't be trusted? What do you say?
Well, in a way, I mean, I think you're talking about totally different groups of people, the people that add up the GDP numbers and the people that do the trade negotiating.
GDP is just part of it. GDP is just part of it.
I think for sure you're right that when you negotiate on international trade, this is the ultimate Reagan trust but verify situation,
right.
For sure. The problems that, as I see it, are, number one, the U.S., through the Trans-Pacific Partnership, was building a coalition of countries in Asia that was going to be a counterpunch, a foil, as it were, to the growth of Chinese power.
And he abandoned
Trump
that.
Throws that away.
He hinted, I'm glad you mentioned that, Austan, because when Larry Kudlow was talking to Stuart Varney in the last hour, Kudlow dropped this little bombshell kind of at the end of the chat, saying that a trade coalition of the willing to take on China is imminent. I'm paraphrasing there because I was writing it down.
Look, that's what they should have done.
You just read my mind.
The thing
that's
that drives
what TPP was, and the president abandoned it. If we had TPP in place,
I agree with that. But then
what would have happened?
Second, well, I don't know. Clearly, we would have been in a better position to start with. But now on the second, they want to build a coalition of the willing to go after Chinese violations of intellectual property.
Do you think they'll do that, though? Everyone seems
that.
afraid of them, Austan, for some reason.
Now, but the problem is this. We just finished almost starting a trade war with our European allies on steel and aluminum. We've irritated the Canadians and the Mexicans. We've gone after Japan and Korea. All of our natural allies in this are half mad at us to begin with. And you saw the Chinese today say they're going to the European Union to ask for support to oppose what the U.S. is doing. We somehow took our allies and turned them against us on a topic where they should have been with us from the first
South Koreans
step.
Among them. I'm not saying that the method of the madness, whether this has unexpected results. Some of those allies have made concessions to us to get us off their back. So you could argue that this very irreverent, different approach.
It's madness.
No. You think the approach they're taking, or this president's taking, is crazy, pretty much, right?
Is crazy because we got a tiny concession from South Korea by agitating about the Korea Free Trade Agreement.
Right.
But now the far bigger fish to fry is about China, and the Koreans are mad at us because we just jerked their chain around on the Korea Free Trade Agreement. Why did we do that first if what you wanted to do was build a coalition of the willing against China?
What's wrong with just shaking things up and saying we're not going to do things business as usual?
What's wrong when you're cold about lighting the back half of your house on fire? There are many things wrong with that.
Yeah, but the other half of the
just
house
look
is
at the
fine.
market.
The other half of the house is just
telling
fine.
you what's wrong with it.
All right. Austin, so you're not necessarily in the president's reelection committee just yet, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, fine. Austin, always good seeing you, my friend. Thank you very, very much.
Yeah, talk to you later, dude.